I'm David Perry, also known as JustDavidP. This morning I decided we're going to do a video podcast. Let me back up and explain why. As part of my typical maintenance on weekends, I clean out my skimmer, the pumps, etc. Well, this morning I took apart my Cedra pump on my Euroreef and I realized that the needle wheel was broken. The pinwheel itself had some broken pins. A snail got in there or something, and obviously I needed to do something about that. Well, I had read 50 some odd pages about this new mesh application and a modification for the Cedra pumps. I decided this was time to do it. Okay, one thing to keep in mind, I never consider do-it-yourself projects as truly do-it-yourself. I look at it as an opportunity to get together with friends, talk about reef keeping, get some good things done, and have a good time. So, what I decided we're going to do today, and Gustavo does not know this yet, is I'm going to take my pump apart, take the impeller out, and go to his workshop to make the new mesh wheel modification. Okay, welcome to my fish room. Whoop, got a duck. It's kind of a mess right now, but these are my culturing stations where I raise the grass or glass shrimp that I catch on Cape Cod for food for my seahorses. And here's my sump where I'm curing my Marco rock, and the Marco rocks that I've got still do contain some biological matter, so it's important that I do cure it. I'm skimming wet right now, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, is my Euroreef skimmer. And what I hope to do is to take this pump and replace the pinwheel with the new mesh wheel modification. Okay, and what we're doing today is actually replacing the pinwheel on the Cedra pump. So let me take that apart and show you what that looks like. Okay, so after removing the intake, you'll see the impeller. Okay, welcome to my home away from home, Gustavo's basement.
Hey everyone.
For those of you who don't know Gustavo, goes by the name Neo on the boards. What I've done is I've taken my impeller shaft and the entire assembly and brought it to Gustavo's house. Why? Because he has some of the greatest tools in Massachusetts, and Gustavo's the one who turned me on to this mod. He knows a lot more about it than I do, and we're just going to do the job here for you. So, before Gustavo starts, I want to teach you one lesson. Be very careful when you're taking this assembly apart from your pump, because the impeller shaft is ceramic, which means you can break it real easy, like I've done today. So, with that said, I'm going to let Gustavo talk a little bit about what we're going to do.
Alright guys, basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to destroy a needle wheel. Okay, we're going to cut every single pin out of the needle wheel and replace it with this mesh. Okay, basically this mesh is you can find it at Aquatic Ecosystem, okay, and it's called skimmate nylon PF4. If you go to their website, you'll see that they have PF4, PF5, PF13, and basically what it is just the thickness of the nylon, okay. We have several threads in several websites that shows you that the PF4 is the best one to be used, and this is what we got. But I didn't order this from Aquatic Ecosystem. Actually, I went to a lumber store, and I was talking to the guy, and he told me that this is used to side your house. If you have a cedar side in your house, siding in your house, this is what they use to space the cedar from your actual plywood. Okay, so basically you can probably get this at your lumber store. The only problem is they sell holes of 50 yards by 36. So if they have some of that open, you might be able to get a little piece of it.
Wow.
There we go.
Take break. Okay, we're back. Obviously, this isn't just my home away from home. Many people come down to Gustavo's shop to get some work done. So it was actually a good time to take a break. I did want to mention, as Gustavo stated, we got this from a lumber yard as a sample. We were lucky to do that. As he also mentioned, if you were to buy this, you would have to buy it in a 50-yard roll. Unless you're going to personally modify hundreds or thousands of these things, that might not be the best option. However, you could get together with your reefing club or whatever, buy a roll and split it amongst the members. Otherwise, as we mentioned, you can go to Aquatic Ecosystems Inc. This is their catalog. They sell it as small as 2 yards up to 10 and more yards. And you can get there at aquaticeco.com.
There we go. So as we got that out of our way, I want to show you some basic tools that you're going to need for this modification. Of course, you're going to need the impeller, the needle wheel, a small plier so you can take the needle wheel out, a little razor blade, scissor, zip ties, cable ties, the smallest that you can find, and of course the most important part, the beer. So cheers my friend, and let's get into the mod. Alright, so let's get into the mod itself. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to measure the needle wheel and cut it out 3 pieces of the mesh. What actually we're doing is we're going to stack 3 pieces of it. So we measure here, cut the first piece out, we're going to do it 3 times. Okay, so we're going to stack 3 of them. Go. More. Okay. There we go. So basically, now that we have our 3 pieces here, okay, we're going to stack them. This is how it's going to work. Basically, when you tie this down, it's going to be exactly the same height as your needle wheel. Okay? We're going to stack and tie, use the zip tie, the cable tie, and it's going to be the same height as your pins on the needle wheel. Okay, let's now what we need to do is we're going to have to make some holes into the impeller, so we can cable tie. But before we do that, we gotta take the needle wheel out. Okay, and to do that, you're gonna use the small plier. Basically, what you do is just get the plier right under the needle wheel. Okay, and just with a little torque. There we go. We can pop that out. Right. So now that this is out of our way, I'm gonna drill. Okay, I did mark where I want to drill, but if you look at the needle wheel, you'll see that the needle wheel has 4 little holes in it. Those holes are used for, I would say, is for to not keep the bubbles in. I mean, it's like works reverse as the bubble trap that we use for our sumps. Okay. So basically, I cannot blot those holes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill 8 more holes in here and use 4 cable ties to tie the mesh in. Okay, so let's move on to to the drill press. Alright, so basically what we're going to be doing here is making the holes on a needle wheel. I didn't cut anything out because as I'm going to use a drill press, it's going to be easier for me to leave them so I will have a little more support when I'm pressing. Okay, so let's get started. Well, this is a really easy process. I have a drill press, but if you don't have a drill press, you can do exactly the same thing with a hand drill. And make sure that you make a hole big enough so you can get your cable tie in. So there we go. All the holes made. The 4 original holes that we had, plus enough holes so I can get 4 cable ties in. Okay, let's go back to the table and cut all the needle wheel and get into the modification. All right, back into the little bench. What we're gonna do now? I'm gonna use the little cutter here and take every single needle out of here. David asked me, are you sure you want to do that? I said, yep. This is like a $35 part, and I told him, well, I have done 2 and they're working great. So he said, alright, let's go ahead and do it. So basically you gotta be careful, it's really sharp, but basically what you're gonna be doing is just a snap, one by one, okay, until we get all of them out. Okay, we're down to the few needles. There we go, and basically there we go, the last one. Now what you want to do is clean a little bit. So basically you're gonna go with the razor blade again over. Be careful with your finger, of course, and clean it out. Some of them I cut a little higher, so this is why we gotta do this. I tried with a plier, a wire cutter, but didn't work quite the way I want, so that's why I decided to use the razor blade. There we go. Now, if you had a $35 needle wheel, you don't have that anymore. This is what you have. A little piece of plastic that is gonna go right in. And that's about it. Now, what we will do is mount the mesh, the 3 meshes, right, the sandwich, in here. So basically we gotta kind of line that up, but on top of it you can see that's way bigger than what we need, but there we go. Make sure that the part that you actually tie is on the top, okay? So we're gonna go through the mesh. It's a little hard to get through it, right? And then get into the hole and back up. Whoops, there we go, right there. So we got the first one, we have 3 more to do. 3 more to go. You can tie it if you want, or you can leave, and tie all of them up later, but I like to tie the first one so at least the thing won't move. There we go. We'll go for the second one. Okay, we're on the last cable tie. Here we go. Well, this modification shouldn't take more than 10-15 minutes to do. It's fairly easy, right? And okay, we got here all four. Right now, what we need to do, cut this out. Same thing, just using the razor. Out, out. There we go, all four out. Okay, now we're gonna trim. We got the scissor and go all the way around. Make sure you got an old scissor. Don't steal your wife's scissor. Otherwise, she's gonna be a little mad of you. There we go. Okay, we took all the excess out, as you guys can see. Right now we just need to trim a little more, make this as close to the plastic as possible. Okay, so just keep going around with your scissor until you get, until you have the feeling that you got everything out. And you actually have a rounded circle, not a oval or something, There we go. Okay, so we're almost done. Now what we need to do is, right on the center, we gotta clean a hole in here. Okay, so because we're doing for the Euroreef, we have a little spacer that needs to go back in. So what I do, I got the knife again, and I just start to cut around the almost there. Alright, finishing up here. Just a little bit more. Alright. All done. Okay, now the only thing that we need to do is make sure that the spacer will be clear in there. Okay, and that's about it. Now we just have to mount the pump back together, get the impeller back together.
Okay, what I'm going to do now is show the difference between the actions of the Euroreef using the needle wheel versus using the mesh wheel that we've just created. We're going to be doing this on Gustavo's reef tank, so I thought I'd give him a plug and let you all see his reef tank from a distance. I won't get any closer because he's got some frags in there and he thinks that his reef looks horrible right now. I wish my reef would look as horrible. Okay, and this is Gustavo's Euroreef. It's an 8.2. It's using the Cedra 5000 pump. And if you look here, you can see the bubbles here in the water column are actually quite large. Now don't get me wrong, the Euroreef's a great product. It makes a great bubble and it skims wonderfully. But with this new modification, we can take this bubble and the diameter of the bubble and almost half it. You can see here on the throat, or maybe you can't. But that's the quality of the bubble. before the modification.
Mine?
And now we'll show you
Mine?
after the modification. Okay, and what you're seeing here now is the new mesh wheel application used on Gustavo's Euroreef. If you notice, as I zoom in, the actual bubbles are much, much finer. The mesh in the mesh wheel pulverizes those bubbles to a much better degree than the needle wheel application. Now this is the collection cup on Gustavo's skimmer, and this is being run very dry. Some people run their skimmers wet and dry. Gustavo likes to run his dry. It's a very, very thick skimmate that comes out, and that's just 3 days worth of skimming after using the needle wheel switch over to the mesh application. So with that, I'd like to thank Gustavo for his help today.
More than welcome.
And I'd like to try and encourage you to try and record some of your do-it-yourself projects for the Talkingreef. We're going to take this back to my home and put it back into my Euroreef, and I'll show you what we're doing from there. So, from Gustavo's basement, have a good night.
See ya.
Cheers.